See, no problem.
To me.
To me.
Interesting counterpoint. It. Welcome
That's good.
to Derry, Maine. Season 1, episode 6. Take us through it. What happened?
What happened?
Yep.
Well, the first thing that happened was we went back in time to an orphanage. Was it a hospital or an orphanage?
It was a hospital.
Hospital.
That was that the beginning?
I believe that was the beginning. This is before
I thought the beginning
credits.
was Hanlon getting yelled at by the general, but that's fine.
Well,
That's
they
not
do
consequential.
They do the black and white twice.
Okay.
They start with it once where the little girl is very scared because there's a
Scare the
clown.
basement.
Yeah, there's something in the basement, and the lady goes down with her. Very excited to go down there with her. Very excited to see whatever could be so scary. Not really any comfort there. And then we get to see the red balloon, the only color in the shot, and then I think we hit the credits. Later, we go back to it, and we see a little bit more about how that scene unfolds. But that's where we started, and I thought that was an effective start. I thought that was a scary scene. I thought both of them were scary.
It was. That might have been the most scary scene, but that I still think the most
the episode.
No, I think the scariest scene of the episode was the attic, and it wasn't even. Nothing even happened. It was just the most suspenseful.
I think I have some attic questions.
Yeah.
To get to.
Okay. Should we talk about the boiler scene first?
Yes.
It was good.
It was good.
Hot take.
I saw a little bit of critique online that they've gone back in time before, even further back, and this is the first time that they've used black and white. And why would they use black and white? Because there's, it would have been interesting if all of them were in black and white to distinguish between past and present. That didn't really bother me that much. I thought it was
a great
very
artistic
well done.
choice on that piece. I mean, I guess I can see the critique because it's not consistent across episodes, but I think it made that scene was tremendous done that way.
Yeah, that it really popped, and I liked the red balloon. I thought, technically it didn't make much sense to the rest of the the series, but it worked for me for the for the tension and suspense there.
It is giving away clues though, because the our favorite lady, the nurse, she does wear red all the time, and so it is kind of. I think it's supposed to be a little bit of a like, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. This lady's not good. Type stitch. So I think that's kind of where the that's what it's trying to do, is like that hint that she's related to this character.
The hint being the balloon in red, or by doing everything in black and white, you're not showing her wearing red until you get to the reveal later.
You see it kind of later, and it's connecting back to what you've seen from her, because her red always kind of pops. She always has a little bit of lipstick that's
I think
heavier.
both can be true.
What is her name? Lily Bainbridge. Nope. Ingrid Kirsch.
Yeah, that sounds more right.
Lily's the main character of the show. Of course, besides Pennywise.
Obviously, besides the titular It. So we have that, and then we go into the Major getting a little mad at his son for...
Well, I wasn't talking about that. Before the general is yelling at him, and he says it's his fault that that his friend died.
Oh, okay.
He kind of puts the blame on him and gets into he's like, well, if you'd followed protocol, this wouldn't have happened. Which I don't know. I mean, we talked about his death last episode. I know it had to happen for the story, but I didn't really buy it. It was kind of a weird... They could have played it a lot better.
Yeah.
They could have placed him better to make him have to dive in the way, which is the typical rescue situation. I just thought that one didn't play quite the way they wanted it to. And Yeah, it hasn't seemed to have hit him as hard as I feel like it should have yet. The only scene that we get that makes it seem like it hit him really hard is when he ends up slapping his son, which I think he would have done that even if his friend hadn't died. I think he was so upset with his son at that point that his son didn't listen to him.
Yeah, I think he could have slapped his kid for not listening, and there's enough danger that he feels anyway. I don't know that character dying is the movement between slap and no slap. I thought that scene was remarkably effective. I thought it was very well played by the son in particular.
Yeah.
Who knows for a stone cold fact that he is doing the thing that his dad would do were his dad in the position that he finds himself in. And he delivers some devastating lines.
He does say, he's not like you because I would never let my friends die.
Right. It's a pretty low blow, but
very low blow, all things considered.
But that was a very effective
yes
scene for me because, again, the two of them are the son is reacting in the same way that his dad would do and probably will do later on in the series.
What?
And of course, the dad is trying to be protective because his son is certainly may have that particular gene in him, but he's still also 12?
Yeah,
he's still very young.
What I think was most interesting about this episode is there's a little bit of a dichotomy going on because you have one side where everyone's losing their support group. So he's having this schism with his dad, which never was a solid relationship anyways. And then you've got our losers club where Lily is like pushing everyone away because she has this weapon that I assume is having some sort of effect on her. And then she eventually goes and visits Ingrid and loses even more, which we'll talk about. But on the other end, some of the losers club is getting closer. We've got our Cuban American.
Yeah, they're pairing off, aren't they?
He is pairing off. Ronnie is getting reunited with her dad. That's obviously not going to go well. But there is kind of this, like, one side, there's people, Marge and, what's the other kid's name? It's not Teddy. Why don't I have him in here?
It's unclear. You haven't even mentioned maybe the biggest one, and that's our Major and his wife.
Yeah, they're not getting along well at all.
Not even a little bit. She is threatening to move back home. She admits to harboring a fugitive, which Major is not very, very thrilled about, and Major does feel like he's got a duty to finish what he has started as well. So,
do you think the Major made the call? Someone said where our guy is, our fugitive.
Yeah, so
someone says where Hank is, where Hank Grogan is. Someone
in that place is the club.
Yeah.
That the
black spot.
The black spot that the black armed forces folks have set up as their music and dancing and drinking club hangout that they didn't have until just now. It has just opened. Is this its opening night?
I don't know if it's its opening night. I think it's kind of like that. It's getting popular. There's a bunch of people there dancing. Maybe it is the opening night. It kind of seems like that. But
it's pretty early on in its happenings, and so our fugitive, is in the back room there.
Yeah,
and the episode, not to jump all the way to the end, but the episode closes with a gaggle of whites who are presumably about to burn this thing down.
And we find out that the Hank Grogan, his actual alibi is Ingrid. And for some reason, he won't say it because there's some infidelity going on there. But I don't know how that is any worse than, like...
They're in a relationship together, right?
Yeah.
But Ingrid has a husband.
Yeah.
And also is having an affair with a black man. So we've got double issues here. But in terms of who made the call, because the call is there's a fugitive in the back of the black spot. Now we're going to burn that. Now we're going to arrive at the black spot. We're going to start a big riot and burn the thing down, right?
Yep.
Who made that initial call? Are we sure it's not Ingrid?
That's my other question. Like, I think our main suspects could be Ingrid or the Major or even, I doubt it, but I could see Dick doing it. It's interesting because obviously in the novel, the black spot has the incident that happens at the black spot has nothing to do with some hidden fugitive. We obviously have seen this drunk mob that's rolling around town with guns, looking for, the child murderer. And this is clearly a good excuse for them to go all get riled up and get sent somewhere. But I am curious as to who. Do you think they even know he's there? Or do they think they're just like, oh, there's this black club and this is where he's probably hiding in the woods?
I think it was Ingrid. I don't think it was the Major. I don't think he does that to his wife. I think they have, maybe he goes and eventually does something similar, but he's not going to do it in that type of fashion. He's not going to get a white
You think he gets
mob.
accused for it?
The Major?
Yeah, do you think his wife will accuse him of doing it, even if he didn't?
Possibly. Yeah, I think that's possible. I don't think Dick does it.
I don't see any
he's
reason why
not necessarily the most enthusiastic about
He's also just getting wasted, I
the
believe,
club
in this
direction.
episode.
He just needs a nap, I think. He just needs some time alone. He's not trying to start any more
He's
drama.
seeing dead people now.
I think it was Ingrid, and I think she mentioned that, yes, there is a fugitive in the back hiding out there.
That checks out. Yeah, so I guess we can talk about Ingrid's past a little bit. Lily is looking for a little comfort and support, so she goes seeking out Ingrid. The house is empty. Why she decides to go to the attic, that part doesn't exactly make sense.
Not really. She doesn't start in the kitchen with a glass of water or use the bathroom or
she just kind of wanders up the stairs and up into the attic.
And starts poking around and sees some old pictures
of a character who she sees Lily's dad, who looks very much like someone she's seen. And then we get a little backstory on Pennywise, and we realize that Bob was Ingrid's dad and was also known as Pennywise the Clown. And Ingrid was also a clown, who we find out later was actually the one in the grave. It was not Pennywise chasing them. Though there were the ghosts, so Pennywise had something to do with it. I still am bothered by that whole graveyard scene because it just wasn't very good, and it's very inconsistent to the rest of the show. But this whole scene was very terrifying just because you the actress who plays Ingrid did a tremendous job of a slow break. Like, you always knew something was off with her. She did that very well, but it was never enough that you're the typical wink, wink, nudge, nudge. You know she's bad. She's got her fingers crossed behind her back type of situation. She just always kind of seemed like a little too friendly and weird. We don't know what happened. All we know is that something happened to her dad, Bob, and he was taken from her, and that she got this job at Juniper Hill. And then we kind of get it inferred that she's essentially been feeding kids to this creature because it's taken on the visage of her father and the clown.
Yeah, effectively putting her in like a Renfield type of tradition, right? I agree. I thought the actor did a wonderful job with the part she was given. I'm still trying to make sense of exactly what in the hell this is doing from a narrative standpoint. Why she needs to be Pennywise's kid gopher. This doesn't really track with much from the book in terms of like a long-term, I know what I'm doing, I've decided to side with Pennywise here. And the idea that she was the one in the graveyard just did not track for me. I spent more time of that scene wondering what in the hell are they trying to do here, instead of giving myself over to the tension that the actor was doing a great job of delivering. But there was some narrative gaps and inconsistencies with the show and the book that I just was trying to square out, and I don't think a week and a half later that I have been able to square those up.
Well, I think a big piece of this, and the big piece of like an issue with this show in general, besides another one that I'm sure is going to bug me even more as we get closer to the finale. The major one here is that this whole story is predicated on Pennywise, not the creature, right? And we know the creature's much bigger than just this clown version, and though he's chosen to use this version of Bob Gray, it's just a small piece of who he is. But like the show is obsessed with him because that's what came out of the movie, right? That's the obsession with the character, is the clown piece of it, right? But it has nothing to do with this clown. It's this, being that's much larger than this. People see it as a bird. People see it as spiders. People see it as all different sorts of things. So it's interesting because it's almost like it's a Pennywise origin story is kind of how this is turning out. But Pennywise is really not that interesting of a character. And it's really only, like, the only two things that it does is it does tie him to Ingrid. Interesting in that she's this, like, cracked character where, like, she's kind of gone insane because, like, her father died in whatever tragedy we're going to see, which I assume is one of the cycles. And I assume she's probably somewhere around mid-30s, and she was probably around 8 to 10 when her father was quote-unquote taken from her. And so this is just another cycle. But what's weird is, like, was she just feeding kids to it in the middle of the cycle? Or
why does it...
Because how long ago was this when they went to the past and they show her feeding a kid to it?
Yeah, that seemed pretty recent given the way she looks.
It'd have to be if it was a cycle, right?
And why does she need to feed the kids to it anyway? It is very powerful...
I don't think it's necessary. I just think it's easy for her to do that. I think she's doing it because she wants to keep seeing him. Because to her, especially when he, like, pleaded to her, through the door, which is obviously just him playing tricks. And she obviously had some fear of him at the time because she saw this thing eat this kid. Though it does not make it clear if that's the first time she saw him or if that's what she does. That's one of her many times where she's fed a kid to him. She. But I think it is interesting that it's an interesting storyline. It just doesn't really make sense to the mythology, which I think is the biggest problem with the show in general, is that it really just doesn't make sense. Because it doesn't fit into any of the narrative. And it's what I think is going to bug me as we get closer to the end, is I have a feeling that there's going to be this, like, obviously the show is going to end bad. Like, nothing's going to go good, but I think we're going to get this, like, episode 7 or episode 8 where the Losers Club gets some sort of victory. And to me, that immediately ruins the whole biggest passage from the book where it feels fear for the first time. And that's what we get in the 80s in this universe, or in the 50s in the original universe or the book universe. And so having this, like, middle story where there's this, like, Losers Club who finds a way to fight back against it, like, it blows the plot to me. I think it's a fine story. It just doesn't make sense. It's the plague of almost any prequel, right? Is that you're like, well, what's the stake here? Because we're all just going to get to this place later. And so unless you're going to pull off an Andor, like it's a losing battle, especially when it's this creature to me, because unless you're trying to give the creature, like, motivation, then it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. So if you're doing a prequel story and you're like, here are the 20 years that led Bob Gray to turn into this creature, that would make sense. But that's not what it is, right? Like, Bob Gray is just this person that existed, was a clown, and he assumed his persona for a little bit, and I assume killed him at some point, or caused him to be killed in some sort of madness moment with. So I don't know. I like it. I think everyone's doing a fantastic job. I think it's some okay storytelling.
You like it, meaning the show.
The show.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm entertained by this show.
I just don't, as the quote unquote lore guy of us, that bugs me more than anything, because I love getting into the lore, and if the lore just like it just breaks itself constantly, I think. And I guess what does this add to the lore? And in my mind, it just kind of cheapens the rest of it.
When you say what does it add, are you talking about the show, or are you talking about this reveal? Okay.
Like, what does this show add to the lore?
Confusion. I think the answer is confusion. And
because like all the pieces are there. Very good acting.
Mm-hmm.
Very good scenery, very good suspense, very good characters. The kids are good. This is some of the best group of kid actors I've actually seen in a show, I think. For the most part.
I think the kids are doing a wonderful job at acting. I don't know why they would have to when they're in the black spot.
Yeah.
I don't understand why the bartender would give them
I
alcohol
spikes
in
their
Coke,
drink,
and why our Cuban friend is all of a sudden the
best drummer
proficient
that's ever
jazz drummer in Derry. When you're playing with fire when you make an adult story with kids in it, because you get some inconsistencies with the acting, and adults writing for children is not very easy, and making sure that they're tonally consistent with the mature themes of the show and settings, etc. I think I agree with you. The kids have done a wonderful job acting and making me believe them as characters and building those characters out. But stuff like giving them alcohol and making him the best drummer that this club has ever seen is one of the risks that you take when you're putting kids at the front and center of a show like this. Some writers cannot help but to write some fakakta scene like that.
Well, so that's I want to talk about that in a second too, because that is a great point. But first, what I'm saying is, like, there's all these really good pieces that are here, but they don't click together because the whole thing just doesn't have a purpose.
Correct. Yes.
Unless the purpose is just like be pretty and kind of scary, if that makes sense.
It seems like it had like too many rewrites.
Yeah. But I'm also even more upset because like spoiler alert, we're getting more seasons of this.
Is that true?
Yeah, and at least that's my understanding. I haven't dug into it because I'm not going to read the articles. I've just seen headlines, but I'm like, of what? Like, of just one more cycle in between? And is it just gonna be the same thing where there's a new losers club that like also does battle with him? I don't know. And maybe they'll switch and we'll just talk about the military stuff even more. Or
I hope not.
Yeah. But to the kid thing, what's very interesting is when you write a story that has a kid's plot line and an adult plot line, and you mix the two, what tends to happen, and this is specifically what happened in that scene, is you have one or the other, where the kids do something that they wouldn't do, that a kid wouldn't do, or the adults do something that adults wouldn't do. And so what happened in that whole like drumming scene is all of a sudden the adult storyline became a kid's storyline. And so it didn't seem serious anymore. Like, kids do silly, stupid stuff, and you can let the kids do silly, stupid stuff because they're kids. But then when you mix the two and you're like, oh, here's this fancy drummer moment with the adults, like, then it turns the adult storyline into the cartoonishness of the kids. And I think that's like...
It infantilized the whole setting there.
Yeah. And then...
Agree.
And what kills me is, like, what's the stake? Like, why did we need to put the kids... Other than Ronnie showing up briefly to see her dad, why are the kids still there when this partying is happening? Like, a couple of things about that really, really bug me. One, like, it's a bar, and so you've got all sorts of drinking going on. Two, It's a whole group of African Americans in a town that has been accused multiple times of murdering children.
They don't want any part of these white babies.
They want nothing to do with these white babies.
Also,
like that's like
what time is it?
Yeah, it's very late at night. Yeah.
What time
so like
is it?
That's the part that kills me the most is like if there's anything we've learned from media and the stories of African Americans over time is that like the last thing any of these reasonable African American people would want is to be caught in a situation where they were giving a child alcohol. So it just blows my mind that they're just like, yeah, it's fine that this group of kids with no adults of their own here are hanging out here and no one's even thinking like another thing of it.
It would not have been difficult to write this in a way that would make it much better. And the kids are there because the black spot is about to be burnt to the ground.
Yes. So if you need to place the kids there,
we're gonna put the kids in
then
peril.
have them flee from something else and show up there for protection because they know Ronnie's dad's there or they know Ronnie's there or something or put Hank there. Right?
Perfect. One scene where
but just
one
having
of
them there all day because they all ran away from home apparently. And also, where's the Cuban kid's parents? Is he living with his grandma or something? But it's no supervision whatsoever.
One scene where one of the guys is like, "Hey, we got to get these kids out of here," and Ronnie says, "Hey, I just need a few more minutes with my dad." Okay, no problem. Cuban kid goes up to the bar. He gets the Coke and he tries to wink at the bar. Hey, can you put a little of the heavy stuff in there? You know, points to his would-be girlfriend, emotions. You know, there's ways to have written it in the guy. Oh, all right, just a little dollop. He gets back on the
or why not have the kids find out?
Messes up one time. You know, he starts playing in like 3/4, and the guy's like, no, do. And you get like 30 seconds of him. Oh, okay, now I've got it. Now let me try. And he does a passable job that still is impressive enough to his would-be girlfriend to get her to smile big at him. Now all of a sudden that's going to hit really hard because now we have the Losers Club Part 2. They start out doing loser shit. They need to be kicked out of the bar. They can't get any alcohol. This guy's making a fool out of himself behind the kid. But now and it wouldn't take that long, like 120 seconds. Now they are experiencing some type of victory. Oh, look at this. Look what I can do. Build up that confidence. And now, boom, isn't going to hit that much harder when the matches start coming out.
Why not write it as him finding the alcohol and pouring it in his own drink?
Sure.
Or taking somebody else's drink and not, like, I just don't understand.
But he doesn't even ask. He asks for Cokes.
Yeah.
Can I have Cokes? And the guy's like, here's a rum and Coke. No problem. Like, what are we doing?
I don't know what we're doing. But I'm excited for the next step. We know bad things are coming.
The black spot is about to get burned.
For book knowers, it's all going to go down. I think one thing that does ruin this again for me, now that I'm going to stack onto this here, is that because, as you say, and I think I agree with you in the way the timeline's working, the black spot has not been there for very long. And so I think it removes some of the racial angst of what's about to happen here. It kind of cheapens what happens to the black spot a little bit. Like, if anything, it gives some credence to the group going and attacking the black spot because they are
they're looking for a
murder.
Wanted fugitive.
Yeah.
Because in the book, from my recollection, it's been a longer since I read it. But in the book, this is a long simmering racial tension.
Yes,
between the whites and the
blacks. It's become super popular, and everyone's hanging out there.
And there's a jealousy to the whites that this is the cool spot to go to, and then mixed up with its cycle rage, whips them all into a frenzy, and then they go and burn it down.
Yes, there's a name for the group. It's like it's the main council for decency or something like that.
It's the
KKK
main
white council for
right?
Yes, it's exactly what it is. And they go and it turns into some major violence.
Yeah.
But there's there's a stew to that. There's a steaming to it. It's a very Tulsa, Oklahoma type thing where it's like they finally have this own thing that's their thing, and it gets added, and then we're like, well, you can't have this good thing, and obviously it is behind this, and so there's a little bit of like some pieces to that, but like this seems it cheapens the tragedy of it all in my mind.
Yeah, and it puts in Ingrid to kind of this, I know I called her a Renfield earlier, but if she is the one that called it into sort of this Joker type of watch the world burn type of role, which, again, I don't think we need somebody, quote unquote, masterminding the rage cycle. One of the interesting things about the cycle is the way it would use these characters temporarily to further the agenda. There wasn't any...
Yeah, and it's like he's using people's own monstrosity to do it. Like, he's obviously amplifying it, but he's not finding good people with no and like turning them on against themselves.
And they don't have this grand plan.
No.
So, I don't know. We'll find out.
But I don't know. I'm still like, there's still so many good pieces about it that I really, really enjoy. And I know that like every one of our episodes so far of the show has turned into huge bitch fest, but it's just easier to talk about what I don't like than what I do like. I guess I'm just upset that there's so much good there but it's still missing a point.
Yeah, and that gets, I think, to my rewrite comment. Some of these things just feel like they were done with a second pass by somebody who is not as familiar with the source material, who didn't sit down with the original writer and walk through the choices that they were making and the things that they were trying to say, because there was all these inconsistencies like that I wouldn't be surprised if that was the writing process, I guess.
What are the biggest highs of the show so far? To me, it's the scene in the car.
In the car. That was going to be the first thing that I said, yeah.
My second one would be Ronnie's nightmare with her mom.
Mm-hmm. The grocery store scene was very good.
Grocery store scene's pretty good, but it was almost comical. But I think that's fine. That plays perfectly with how it does things, because he's very mocking in that he does them. I think that's pretty good. The eyeball one was pretty freaking good. I know you hated that, but that was pretty good.
That was good. All of the things that we've listed off are scare things. Yeah. And those were pretty much the only things that I'm the kid acting is very good. But for my money, the best things that the show has done is the well-constructed scare scenes.
Yeah. There's some very good suspense.
Yes.
The whole carnival scene was very good too. Being chased in the woods was good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think all the highlights have been the scares, and they're doing those quite well.
And the way that the losers part 2 have bonded over the 6 eps, the way that has grown slowly has been interesting. It's been good. But this is a horror show. You're coming to this for the horror scenes.
Yeah, I just wonder if I'm just going to get so upset because I know, like, they're going to get some sort of victory and, like, lock it away, kind of. Like, do all the kids die? Like, obviously we know Will's not going to, because Will's going to go on to be Mike's dad. But
maybe
do the
he
rest
dies
of them go?
and they have a new kid and they also name him Will. What do you think about that?
I think Will dies and then Dick, using his sixth sense, somehow makes a ghost baby that is Mike.
I love that.
You like that look?
I think that'd be great. I don't think we'd complain about that at all.
Yeah, because all the kids, like, it can't go well. It can't, but it's going to go some sort of well, where it's going to be like the staring off into the distance, knowing you're going to have to face this thing again type bad. But if there's no big bad, like big, huge thing, if it's just another version of what happened in the 50s in the original book or in the 80s in this universe, if it's just that, where like the cycle shortened, then
it just cheapens everything that happens in the movies. That's what's bugging me the most, is everything that's happening here, this origin story, using the Losers Club Part 2 or Part Half, cheapens the Losers Club and cheapens their victory in my mind.
Would you feel differently if they did kill the monster, but then its mama and dada made a new one and also called it It and also sent it to Earth? So in the 80s, they're not fighting this one.
It's a new one?
Yeah, it's their brother. It's his brother.
What if it's their parent? What if this is the child and the parent comes and wants revenge?
Yeah, I knew I could talk you into something stupid like this.